It is really kind of based on, my life and where I find myself.
Mhm.
This doctor who's been practicing for, 30 years almost,
Mhm.
who has a passion to
Yeah.
do something different, something
Mhm.
very, very different in, cooking, and even just in terms of being um in the media space,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I've done radio, I've done television, and I really like it.
And so I'm learning to cook all these different, cultural foods
I
and
love it.
traveling, seeing the world, and eventually I was able to make my way out of my cubicle and let the world be my cubicle.
I love it. I love it.
Welcome to Unapologetically Fly, the podcast, where we discuss what it takes to be unapologetic about finally living for yourself, no matter the age, situation, or circumstance. I'm your host, Renee Mitchell Simpson, the self-love and happiness coach and founder of Well Diva Lifestyle and Travel. I'll be bringing you experts, friends, coaches, and those in my network to help us aunties navigate reinventing our life at this big age because, sis, it truly is never too late to fly. And by fly, I mean finally live for yourself. Hello, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Fly. Today, I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Chef and MD Tracy Nailor. You may know her from Master Chef Season 1, right?
Season 1.
All right, I'm going to back it up a little bit and tell you how Tracy and I met at the one and only podcast summit in Miami.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I connected with 1,000 people there, didn't you?
Yeah, you know what? I felt like I connected with a handful of people in a
Mhm.
very significant
I
way.
guess that's what I mean.
And I mean, I met so many people,
Yeah,
but really
yeah.
having like a connection, it
Mhm.
was it was a it was a few people. It
Right.
was
It
a
was
few people that I
something
was
like
like, yeah, something's going on here
right.
that we will continue after
Right.
this summit.
And did, as the kids
Right, and
say.
did, as the kids say, and as I say occasionally.
Yeah. So it just so happened that we were both in the Atlanta area. We connected there and were able to continue with the friendship or build a friendship. But
Absolutely.
I am in love with the fact that you were on Master Chef. I definitely want to talk about that.
Absolutely.
That was, you said, 2010.
2010. I cannot believe it's been that long
Wow.
ago.
I remember sitting in my bed watching that with my daughter. I do, because I went back and I looked at a couple of the episodes. And
Mhm.
I was like, I remember this. I remember saying, I should have done that. So I applaud you because I know I didn't have the guts to do it. Gordon Ramsay, girl, please.
You know, Gordon Ramsay, well, first of all, I probably would not have had the guts to do it on my own, meaning that my office manager, because I'm at the time I'm a medical director for
Mm-hmm.
an urgent care facility.
Mm.
I'm running around doing all of my administrative stuff,
Yeah.
hiring doctors, training doctors, worrying about compliance, blah blah
Yeah.
blah, blah, all of that. But I used to cook a lot, and I would bring it in for my staff.
Mm-hmm.
And so my office manager came to me with the flyer and said, "You need to do this." And I was like, "Please, I don't have time. Like, are you kidding me? I have things to do." And at the time, my son was maybe three and a half.
Wow. So you are a mom with a toddler, basically,
At that time, right. And
and a
so a single
huge
mom
what?
a single mom
Okay.
with a
Single
toddler.
mom with a toddler, a huge responsibility at work.
Yes. And she knew like how passionate I am about cooking. And she
Clearly.
said, "You need to do this."
Mm.
And so I read the instruction, there's all
Yeah.
these things you have to do. And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna do this.
I'm so glad you did, because I feel like you did it for me. Because back of not like I don't know if it was around that time. It was a few years before that. I sent in the application for the next Food Network star. So,
Okay.
I was like kind of right along with you,
Mm.
but I didn't have the guts to do Gordon Ramsay. So I'm just like, I want to get to that part as soon as you're ready, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what? And it was one of those things where I said to myself, if not now, when? And I mean, and okay, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is I don't get on the show and I go on with my life. I don't have a bad life, let me just keep it moving. But if it works, and so just, in case your viewers don't know, okay, the prize was $250,000
Oh,
and a book deal.
okay.
And so if you saw my audition episode for MasterChef, a year before my mom died, I had her write down our family recipes. And so
Okay.
I have and had a book ready,
Yes.
or at least the start of a book ready. And so I
Mhm.
thought, this could be a phenomenal vehicle
Yes.
to pivot in my life before pivoting was a thing,
Right,
right?
right.
And so I said, yeah, I have to do this. And I spoke to the owner of the company that I worked for, who was a physician and a lawyer and a pilot.
Wow.
And so I felt like he really understood
definitely.
that, that struggle, that, I do this, but I
But
also
I
am
love
passionate. Right.
Right.
And so he gave me his full support. And so after that, it was off to the races.
Oh.
And, I went through the audition process, thousands of people standing outside on Peachtree in, I think it was February.
Oh.
It was February when we auditioned.
And 10 years ago, February was cold.
It was cold.
It's not now.
Right. It was cold. And I was out there, and I auditioned with my carrot cake. And it was magical. It was magical. And it was, and I really got the sense as I was preparing for, the audition and all of it, that this was going to be something good. And this was going to be the beginning of something really great for me. So I felt like the universe was like, yeah, girl, do this.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I wish I had felt like that.
But you know what? When it's your time, it's your time.
Right. It was definitely your time.
I feel like, there's always times in life where we're like, oh, I want to do this or whatever. But, when it's your time, it's your time. And so for whatever reason that you get derailed or whatever, it'll always come back up again if that's the path that you are meant to take.
Exactly.
And I really feel like that.
So I was looking last night at, I went back and looked and I saw where you had the one episode where you made the deconstructed banana pudding?
Yes.
And they said you were the only one. I think the challenge was to use an egg.
One egg.
And you were the only one who did a dessert.
Right.
So you have a passion for sweets as well?
I have a passion for desserts. That's really where, that's kind of my wheelhouse.
Okay.
Is desserts. I love to bake, and that is because my baking and my cooking in general is, it's all rooted in the time with my mom who's passed away, my time with my grandmother, that family time. And for me, those are like my most vivid memories that I have are not just cooking, but baking specifically with my mother and with my grandmother, who's also passed away. And so, yeah. And, it was interesting because on that episode, not only was I the only person who did a dessert, but I was the only person who used the egg 2 ways. Because I used the pudding. Right. I used the egg yolk for the custard and then the egg white for the meringue. So I was the only person to use it 2 ways. And I don't think on the episode he talked about that, but when we were taping it, he was like, "Oh, okay. You just like," and and of course, Gordon Ramsay being Gordon Ramsay and this being
Uh-huh.
reality television, he was like, we have a person here who's thinking out of the box. So she's your competition. So
Mm.
he kind of rubber stamped me at that point.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then the target is on your back at that point. But
So how many episodes did you end up doing, and then what came from that?
I'm trying to think of how many episodes. I want to say maybe 8,
Wow.
maybe 8, because you know what, it escapes me now because I want to say the season. Well, put it this way. So I was eliminated at number 7, I believe.
Mm.
Okay, at number 7,
Mm-hmm.
but at that point they were doing like the semifinals, and where like your family was coming back, and
Mm.
actually and I didn't know this until everything was all said and done. They were slating me to win or at least be
Mm.
in the finals,
Yeah.
because what I didn't know behind the scenes is that they had already called my now ex. They had already called him to bring my son. They
Yeah.
had already called my dad for him to come back because he was on the audition.
Yeah, I
So
saw
they,
your
yeah,
dad.
so they had already started contacting them to come back to surprise me on the show where they have their family members come back when they're in the, I want to say
Mhm.
it's the semifinals or the finals. Yeah. Hmm.
Wow.
And I didn't even know.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So what now, I want to know about Mr. Ramsay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Gordon Ramsay, and I was, speaking about this a little bit earlier. Gordon Ramsay is really, first of all, I admire him. He is a phenomenal chef, but
Mhm.
he's also like changed the game in terms of really expanding his empire. I mean, he
Mhm.
has definitely created an empire,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
not just, oh, he's a chef and he has restaurants, but just in terms of all of his shows and his
Mhm.
products and all of that.
Yeah.
And he is, at least for me, okay, I felt like he really liked me.
Yeah.
I felt like he um respected the
Mm.
fact that I was this professional person who came on the
Mm.
show.
Okay. Wow.
He liked my cooking.
Yeah.
He liked my cooking. So that was
Yeah, I
really
could tell.
cool. I think he also liked my story and felt like if there was going to be anyone who understands the grit and determination that it takes to really be in the culinary world and to make a difference, I think he
Mhm.
appreciated that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, Gordon Ramsay does not play. He does not
Well,
play
we
about his
know.
time. He doesn't play, this was like behind the scenes, right? He was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
TikTok, let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
So he doesn't, he is very much a professional and, and wants things done correctly.
Mhm.
And
We
when it
can
comes,
see that.
yeah, and when it comes to cooking, he really wants you to push yourself and to really have a reason and understanding for what you're doing. He doesn't want you just
Mm.
throwing stuff on a plate. And
Mhm.
but I felt like we had a decent, relationship on the show.
Mhm. Okay.
But
Well, that's
he's gonna
good.
tell it like it
Yeah,
is.
because he can clown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He will tell you like it is, and he has no time for BS.
I know. I
Yes.
want to take a look at your you mentioned purpose for ingredients and all. I wanted to take a look at one of your recipes. It was the burger
Yeah. The
because
burger
it's so
challenge.
gorgeous.
Thank you.
This one right here, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. It's there's red cabbage and green cabbage
Hmm.
and carrots.
And carrots.
Oh man,
And
I'm loving all that
probably
because
a little
I'm thinking
scallion in
I
there.
was thinking it was a salad because I just love my salad so
Yeah.
much.
Let
But
me
I
tell you.
had to come and look at this one because I'm like, with a plant-based diet, I could probably do
But you
this.
could do the whole thing with a plant-based diet because
Mhm.
you could do like a bean burger.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what made me
Yeah.
what drew me to this. So tell me a bit about this about the burger. How
Okay,
did you?
so that challenge, that was the trucker challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
they took us out to like this area that was like in the middle of like the desert,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And
Oh, and where were you? Was it
Los
Arizona?
Angeles, we were outside
Oh,
of
in
Los
LA.
Angeles.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And so we went to this area, and the challenge was we had to do burgers for truckers. And
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
guys, it was like truckers and motorcycle, it was all these
Mm-hmm.
people. And so we were split up into the red team and the blue team.
Mm-hmm.
And we were cooking all these burgers outside,
Mm.
and and then they judged us, and whoever had the most, I guess, positive comments, likes
Yeah.
on their burger won.
Yeah.
And so Jake from the show was like this grill master, meat master, and so
Mm-hmm.
he was the one who came up with the actual texture and the construct of the burger.
Okay.
And so then I love slaw on a burger. I think that is
Okay.
so delicious.
I have not tried that.
I love slaw. I love slaw on my hot dogs. I love slaw on my
Okay.
burger. And so I was like, I got something,
Yeah.
and so then I whipped that up. And so then, there you go.
Yeah.
And here it was.
And it's
And you know what?
gorgeous.
If memory serves, we lost that challenge.
Oh.
We lost that challenge because the other team had their burger had like a barbecue sauce or something on it. And I remember only because the guy who made that barbecue sauce
Mm-hmm.
actually ended up like selling it. I mean, I think he bottles it and
Oh,
sells
okay.
it to this day, after
Okay.
that competition. So
Okay. And that
yeah.
was going to be my next question. Did you end up doing a cookbook?
I did not. I
Mhm.
did not end up doing the cookbook.
But you have all your
I
recipes. and you
have all my
can.
recipes, and so I still can.
Mhm.
That cookbook is very, it's very special to me. And I
Yeah.
feel
Okay.
very, and I, you know what, and I should have brought it so you could see it, but it is my mother and
Yeah.
my grandmother's handwriting.
Yeah. I saw it. You had it on the show.
Right. And
Yeah.
I feel so personally connected to it. I don't know if I'm ready to like
Okay.
it's like family secrets.
Okay. And how many recipes is it?
Ooh. It's all the baked goods. So everything from the red velvet cake to the carrot cake to the banana pudding to, the chocolate bread pudding to, it's all of that. And then it's some of the savory dishes too. So it's probably at least 20 recipes. And then over time, as I have made up recipes, I have some of my own recipes there too. So I was telling somebody the other day, so in my cooking, I have like, how artists have like their watercolor period and they have their, oils period. Well, I have periods in my cooking. So like I'll be all in on pies. And all I want to do is make pies.
Yeah.
Or bread pudding. And all I want to do is make bread pudding or whatever it is. And I might make 50 different, just changing up ingredients, working with different things, or whatever. And so when I get into one of my periods, then I will, just write it down, just write it down. So if I get into, a cheesecake period, I was in a cheesecake period for a long time. My coworkers love that.
See,
because I have to take it to work because I can't.
Right.
Okay.
I know exactly what you mean. We lost a daughter at 4 months old. And I started baking, and I baked so much that I ended up having to, ended up having to start a business and sell it. If you ask my daughter, I start a business for any reason. So I called it Sweet Tooth Therapy, and I started selling cupcakes because it was my therapy to bake. And I baked so much that, it's like, well, and I was at home. I didn't have coworkers to take it and give to. So we got tired of eating it. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this? So I started selling cupcakes. So yeah, I know what you mean by when you have this phase where you're just like, Like for me, it's been salad for I think like 3 years now. I will have usually I say I'm doing salad month,
I like
and
that.
I'll do salads for the whole month of August. And this year it's September. I'm still doing salad, but
We
that's
might have
good.
a salad 6 months.
And that is good. I'm okay with that. Whereas when it's the baking, I'm like, okay, I can't do no more. I can't take anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing for me, and so I'm the person who, I will cook for Thanksgiving, for the holidays
Mm-hmm.
specifically. And I mean, I'll cook for 25 people.
Mm,
And I don't want anybody in my kitchen.
mm.
Okay? Like, please don't come to me with your covered dish to my house. No, 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 ma'am, no,
No
sir.
help either?
No, no, I don't need your help.
Okay,
I can do it.
where are you from?
I'm from Buffalo, New
Okay,
York.
so that sounds like that sounds familiar. Because I want my daughter to help, but and I definitely don't want any potluck covered
Oof,
dishes like that. I
yeah.
definitely
Oof,
don't
look,
want
look.
that.
Woo! If I had some pearls, I would clutch them right now. No.
But I do want my daughter to help, and by help I mean clean the greens.
You want
The
to
prep.
prep the
Yeah,
prep.
yeah.
Well,
Like
that was me growing up my entire life. I was the
you were the
prep. I
you
was cutting onions
yeah.
and cleaning greens and
Yep.
peeling,
Yep.
and
Same
shucking
here.
beans and all that stuff.
Same here. I think the difference, it sounds very, very familiar, very similar. The difference is my mother, her cooking was very rich, very fattening from Arkansas.
Oh, mhm.
And at some point, she saw a nutritionist, she changed her diet. And so by the time
Mm.
I started cooking on my own, it was
Mm.
based on the things that I learned from her after she saw the nutritionist. So
Nice.
I totally don't cook the way my mom did,
Mm.
but I did learn the flavors. And
That's
that's the most
important.
important
That's the
thing,
most
right?
important thing.
Yeah, I would love for us to get into that kitchen at some
We
point
need
and
to.
just,
We need
just maybe
to.
even just parallel do, a dish that's, this version is your version and this version is the plant-based version or
Right, a
something like
plan.
that.
You know what? I love that idea, and I have toyed around a couple of times with being plant based. I'm a physician,
Mhm.
and I can't eat crazy all the time. But so the way I do it is because I'm going to eat what I want to eat. Okay. I am a woman
Exactly.
of a particular age and I have earned the right to eat what I want to eat. Okay. I've dieted for 30 years. I am not going to diet anymore.
Okay.
However, I am going to move my body regularly
Okay.
with purpose and I am going to control my portions.
Okay.
But if I want to eat it, I'm eating
And I see you on Instagram doing your walks in the morning. And I'm the opposite. So I'm going to eat what I want to eat,
it.
but I train my palate so that I no longer like the foods that are not good for me.
Oh, ooh, that's
Yeah, that's what
good.
I do because as far as all that movement, I'm trying. I'm really trying. I will go through my Pilates phase and I'll do that for a while. And I'll do the walking, but it's just for me, the whole movement, and that's the part I struggle with. The
Okay.
diet, not a problem at all. Like, years ago, I wouldn't touch a Brussels sprout, didn't
Mm,
care for asparagus. Now, I can't think of a vegetable that I don't absolutely love because I have
likewise.
trained my palate.
Likewise.
Yeah. So,
Likewise. But for me, the movement is not just, in fact, the movement isn't really about, oh, I've got to, do this to exercise.
right.
The movement for me is for really, it's rooted in my mental health.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Okay.
rooted in me connecting and getting outdoors and being
Hmm.
in nature.
Keep talking. That
And
it'll sink in.
okay, so it's really about that. It's
Yeah.
about it's about that quiet time because I usually go in the morning, before
Mm.
the
Oh, and
world
I
has started,
love that.
and
It's
it's
just being
dewy outside.
consistent
You
though.
know what? But here's the thing. Here's the thing though.
Uh-huh.
When you start to do something purposefully and
Yeah.
you continue at it, it will become habitual. I mean, like this morning, for
Yeah.
example, I did not get up and go work out because like I said, I
Mhm.
was up late watching football. Okay. And so
Mhm.
I had to sleep a little bit longer because I wanted to
Mhm.
get my rest. But don't think I won't be out there today
Okay.
at some
Okay.
point. Okay. Because my day does not feel complete if I'm not moving my body and if I haven't
Mhm.
walked. Now I do other stuff too, but but that part of it, the walking specifically, is so much about just mental clarity. And and so like you
Mhm.
mentioned Instagram, and so
Mhm.
I do these little clips called walking wisdom,
I know. I love it. I was
where
looking at it.
yeah. And so my and that was just something that I started doing,
Maybe
so
that's what I need to do. Walk and talk. Cause
walk in wisdom, so
yeah.
little nuggets drop into my spirit
Yes.
and things that I feel like I just want to share with people.
Yeah.
Um, whatever, because that, like, especially during pandemic and all of that,
Mhm.
um, that was really how I got through,
Okay.
was getting out there and just like working it all out. This is a whole other show, but I was going through, a bad time in relationship, and and so it was just it was therapeutic for me. It
Mhm.
was really therapeutic for me.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
but finding that reason. And the other thing is finding out what it is that you like to do.
Yes,
Okay?
I've tried it all, honey. I have done pole dancing, belly dancing.
Oh, you gotta tell me about
Girl,
that
I have
pole
done it
dancing.
all. The pole dancing is really good. But the problem is the last time I tried it, I ruined my shoulder because I didn't realize you have to condition yourself before you jump on that pole. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
like after your 40s, it's just a lot harder.
Oh, everything is a lot
So,
tougher after your
but
40s.
yeah,
Look.
but it's empowering. It's a lot of fun. It'll definitely get you in shape. But I tried to get back into it just by just going in there like, oh, I know how to do
Oh yeah,
this,
no,
and
you can't do that.
my
No.
shoulder was like, I don't know what this is. You
Hmm.
think you're doing, but I'm not interested.
Like, no, ma'am.
And that was my first and last class. That was
Oh.
right after the pandemic.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. But belly dancing,
I
hoop
love
dancing with the
that.
hula hoop.
Yeah, the hula hoop.
It's
Look,
all
I had to do the
fun. I love
motion.
it
I had to do
all.
the motion. The hula hoop.
I love it all. It's just when I travel, because I do a lot,
Right.
that's when I get off track. I travel, and during the trip, I just don't make the time. And then when I get back home, I just don't get back into it. That's been my issue. Like I
Okay.
got into Pilates when I first moved here to Georgia. I think it was April.
Hmm.
And I did Pilates up until June, July.
Okay.
Took my first trip, came back. They haven't seen me since. So that's my
So,
issue.
well, and so for me, when I travel, especially if I'm at the beach, which
Yeah, and you
is my,
can walk.
that is an absolute
So
must. And
I
so I
think I
get up in
need
the
to.
morning and I do my walk and I
Hmm.
meditate and I pray, and and that connection with the ocean,
Yeah,
I mean, it's spiritual. So
yeah,
that is an absolute must.
yeah.
That's
Maybe I just
happening.
need to make it walking because
Yeah, start with
that's the
walking.
one thing I could do. And I did some years ago. I did the half marathons.
Oh
I got
yeah.
into that. I did a whole bunch of them for a whole year and stopped. But for with that, my knees and my hips were starting
Mhm.
to take a
A
beating.
beating,
So I
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
no,
I do
done.
the Peachtree Road Race
Mm-hmm.
every year on the
Mm-hmm.
4th of July.
Oh wow. The whole marathon?
No, it's
Oh.
10K. So it's
Oh,
like
okay.
6.2. Look,
Okay. That's not
6.2 miles.
that's still a lot.
Look, you could do
Yeah.
it. You could
That's
do it.
still
You could
good.
do it. But
Yeah.
I think it's about setting intentions, right?
Yeah, I
It's
know.
about it's
I
about
know I
just
need
and,
to.
and and even with the walking,
Yeah.
if you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm gonna walk for 15 minutes, or sometimes I listen to a podcast.
Mm-hmm. And
Hello.
I definitely will listen to either a podcast or or a class that I'm taking
Right.
while
And so
I'm
you listen to
walking.
it and you walk long enough to listen to it, then you go home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I'm that person that has like a to-do list and I have to check things
Mm-hmm.
off. And so
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that and to be able to know that like I accomplished this today
Yeah.
it's very important to
Mm-hmm.
me. Hmm.
Okay.
And then,
Well,
and then you can fit in your clothes and you want to be able to fit into cute clothes.
no, that's real,
Okay.
but you can always throw on a
Ah!
caftan.
And you know what? And I love it. You know what? And so I have to tell you, you being in the captain has warmed my heart because that was my mother's uniform.
Oh,
She loved herself a caftan and
honey.
honey. And so every time I see one, look, two things, caftans and butterflies. And so
Oh,
whenever I see a
wow.
butterfly, it always
Yeah.
reminds me of my mother. So thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for bringing her into this experience today.
yes. That's
Yes.
wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second to acknowledge our sponsor. And
Oh.
I have chosen Morocco to be our sponsor
Love
today
it.
because, they recently had the devastation of an earthquake. I think it was like a 6.8 huge
Wow.
earthquake. However, they still are open for business. And sadly, a lot of times when people hear that there's an earthquake or some other natural disaster, they shy away from visiting the place.
Mm.
And that hurts them even further. So I want to tell you, if you're thinking about going to Morocco, please go because they are open for business. I just saw a video of some ladies who were there on the day of the earthquake, and they said they still went on with their tour. No
Wow.
part of their tour was affected.
Nice.
In fact, I'm taking a group to Morocco in a few weeks, and I have been corresponding with our tour company, and everything is fine. No part of our tour is affected either. So you can still go there and have a wonderful time. The epicenter of the earthquake was actually in the Atlas Mountains, and it was felt in Marrakesh. And there was some damage, but it certainly wasn't anything that would shut the country down.
Mm.
So unfortunately, people will see things on the news and get scared away. And I'm here to tell you is don't do that. If you're planning to go, go. If you wanted to go, go, because they certainly need the tourism dollars now more than ever. Okay.
I love it.
All right.
Morocco is on my bucket list.
Oh, well,
It's
you
on
need
my
to
bucket
come with
list. I
us.
know. I need to
So,
make time.
yeah, we have gone from Marrakesh, we go into the Sahara Desert
Oh,
and we do
wow.
glamping in the Sahara Desert.
Oh,
And what's so nice is that you're in a tent, but you have running hot water,
look.
showers, toilets that flush, king size beds. I mean, it's amazing. And you are out there in the middle of the desert. When you come out your tent, you look around and all you see is desert. And it's totally peaceful.
That sounds beautiful.
It is an amazing experience. I don't know that I'm going again because it's a hike to get up in there. I've done it twice.
Mhm.
So it's a serious road trip to go, but my assistant will probably happily take a group. I have a few assistants. They're actually to have two assistants now that are in India with the group right now.
Oh,
They got to
wow.
India yesterday, I believe, and they're going from there to Thailand. So we do a lot of trips, and I'm not able to go on every single one of them.
Okay.
But that one is like a once in a lifetime thing,
Okay.
to take that trek into the desert.
Yes.
And then you come out and you go into Fez, which is another part where
Right.
the tanneries are.
Ooh.
So it's a great tour. But this time we're going to stay just in Marrakesh because we've been 3 times and I've never felt like we had enough time in Marrakesh. It has so much to offer. So we're going to
Mm.
spend the whole week there this time.
Nice.
Marrakesh is also where the only Black woman owned riad in all of Morocco is.
Wow.
Jenan Tamsna. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but
I haven't.
it's gorgeous. And we usually go and have dinner there, but this time we're going to stay a few nights. And we're also staying in the former home of Josephine Baker. Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
So yeah, it would be a really nice experience.
That sounds all kinds of incredible.
Yes.
And I'm low key a little bit upset that I didn't know about this because I would be
Oh.
with you
And
all.
see, we just met like a few weeks back, so
Right.
otherwise you would have known about it.
Oh, you have to. It sounds like you guys are doing some great trips, and so I'm supposed to be going to Bali, and
Mm.
so have you been?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
so I
I
need
didn't
to.
go. I sent the group. I
Okay,
planned the
so
trip. The
okay,
group went. That was in May. They
okay,
went.
so I
Yeah.
have to bend your ear about that and some other
Yeah.
travel
Yeah.
plans that I
Okay.
that I have.
All right. So tell me, you were at Podcast Summit. So what's going on? What were you? What was the
Okay.
plan after
Okay.
that?
So look, and you're probably gonna, throw my book at me, but
Mm-mm.
and that's fine if you do it. So where I am is in the planning phases in terms of, just getting some of those groundwork foundational things done. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just have a meeting to finalize my logo.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I should have you take a look at it and see what you think.
Sure. What's the
Um,
podcast?
the podcast is called Profession to Passion. And
Mm.
so it is really kind of based on, my life and where I find myself.
Mm-hmm.
This doctor who's been practicing for, 30 years almost,
Mm-hmm.
who has a passion to
Yeah.
do something different, something
Mm-hmm.
very very different in cooking, and even just in terms of being um, in the media space, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've done radio, I've done television, and I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just that journey in terms of rectifying those two sides of myself,
Yeah.
and that what that looks like when you want to take that transition, when you want to move to that. And I have been blessed to know so many people, and in fact, because in the work of doing this podcast and of putting this podcast together, thinking about guests, I have come in contact with, and just going through my own, sort of contact list of people. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example,
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's an orthopedic surgeon who wrote a screenplay and like did a whole
Wow.
feature
Yeah.
film.
Okay.
And another friend who just released in fact, two friends. One is a reconstructive surgeon, the other is a judge,
Mm.
who have just written sort of memoirs.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole purpose of the show is to feature people like this. Number one, for inspiration. Number two, to get their stories out there, right? Because
Yeah.
people need to hear these stories. And then also to sort of walk people through what that process is like. So if you're a person who is, maybe stuck, right? Or,
Mm-hmm.
or, or,
Mm-hmm.
or afraid,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Then my podcast is meant to shine a light on the stories and the road and the journey of these people who are doing amazing things. I just found out about a gentleman who was like in this business management MBA, had done all of this and was out there in the business world, and decided that he wanted to go to culinary school, and
Mm-hmm.
and did that, and is now traveling around the world as a private chef, which
Nice.
sounds all kinds of amazing,
Nice.
right?
Nice.
And so it can be done, and so that's what the
Yes.
podcast is all about. That was a
Good.
long-winded explanation,
No,
but
no, that's
but that's but
great.
that's what the podcast is about,
Mm-hmm.
and so where I am now is sort of getting some of the nuts and bolts into place. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things, so I can't find it in myself just to do it. Just throw it, just start it. Don't I sound like David?
Well,
Just
you
do it,
need,
just start
yeah,
it.
you need to give yourself a girl, give yourself a date and just get it freaking done. That's why we're sitting on this couch now, because that's what I did. After Podcast Summit, I was just like, okay, bam, 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 get this, girl,
Do it.
do it.
I know. And I just last week I was just like, I'm not gonna do it.
So you've allowed yourself enough time to talk yourself out of it. That's why you have to go ahead and do it
Right.
before your brain gets a chance to start thinking of other
all the reasons
alternatives.
why. I'm like, I'm super
Yeah.
busy because I mean, I still,
We're
I'm
all
still
super busy, ma'am.
okay.
Just
Look,
get it done.
okay.
For
I
real.
know. I know.
Yeah. And I did what you're talking about. I was working as a public health nutritionist, and I just started traveling. I just started taking ladies on trips, and I started every place I'd go, I'd take a cooking class.
Yes.
And so I'm learning to cook all these different, cultural foods
I
and
love it.
traveling, seeing the world. And eventually I was able to make my way out of my cubicle and let the world be my cubicle.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And see, and that's the thing for me. So I did make one transition on the medical side of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out of clinical work,
Mm-hmm.
and because all of my work was emergent immediate care, so high stress, right? In
Mm-hmm.
pediatrics,
Mm-hmm.
high stress, high
Mm-hmm.
stress,
Yeah.
high stress. And so at the end of 2021, I decided that I needed to tap out
Mm.
after all the pandemic and the triple demic and all that. I was like, I need to tap out
Mm-hmm.
because I don't enjoy this aspect of what I'm doing.
Right.
I don't have joy when I get up in the morning.
See, and my cousin is a travel nurse, and she's usually in the ER, I believe, and I don't hear her talking about having joy either.
Yeah, it in this pandemic and it was
Yeah,
man.
yeah, y'all
Oh,
got slammed.
so it wasn't bringing me joy. And so I had
Mhm.
to figure out what to do differently. And so now I work on the other side. I work for I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name, so I'll just say a very large managed care organization.
Okay.
And so I'm a medical director for them, and I
Mhm.
like what I do. Like
Good.
I really like it.
Good.
And look, and I'm good at it,
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I like doing this. I
Uh-huh.
do. I enjoy it.
Okay.
But at the same time, I enjoy this. And so I don't think it's going to end up being an either or. I think it's going to be a both and for me.
And by this, are you saying cooking or podcasting?
Podcasting.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. I think it's going to end up being
Mhm.
a both and instead of an either or.
Mhm.
And the cooking is going to be in there because I can't do anything on the creative side of myself without incorporating cooking.
So have you done I guess since Master Chef, have you done things with the cooking like catering or anything
So
else?
yes, I have.
Mhm.
I did a few restaurant takeovers, which was
Mm.
super fun.
I bet.
I did a menu, and then the kitchen, and so I had the whole kitchen crew.
Yeah.
And I went over my recipes, and so then they
Yeah, they had to
cooked
execute
they
it.
had to
Yeah.
execute. So that was amazing
I
because I think
know.
that was like the closest that I ever felt to, okay, so if I had my
If
own
you were the
restaurant,
executive
this
chef,
if I was the
yeah.
executive chef, this is what it would look like.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that was pretty
Did you
cool.
like
I
it?
loved it. I didn't like
Okay.
it. I loved it. It was
Okay.
incredible. It was,
But you don't want to go into
you know, so I also have a bake shop concept that
Okay.
I started, and that I have again, a lot of the groundwork done for that. I've had the domain names and all
Yeah.
of that forever since Master Chef.
Okay, now I'm starting to
See,
hear a pattern.
look, she's about to call me out.
Don't look
Don't call me
away.
out. Don't call me out. So yeah, so I have that. So I would do that. I have that concept. I wouldn't do a
Mhm.
restaurant like that, like a
Yeah.
regular, no.
Yeah.
I would do more of a bake shop concept. Have
Mhm.
know what I would do, know how to execute it,
Okay.
have it.
Well, we might need to talk, girl.
Yeah.
Between me and my sweet tooth therapy and
Yeah.
your bake shop concept, we might
Yeah,
need to make it happen.
we might need to make it happen. And I think to your point of this pattern, I've recognized it too.
Mhm.
And what I can honestly say is that at every turn, fear always gets in the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Fear gets in the way And it's not just fear, it's because I'm comfortable in my
Mhm.
medical life. Like
Yeah.
that is
Right. That
easy for
comfort
me.
zone,
It's
honey.
easy for me and it's lucrative.
I
Okay. So
know.
I'm like, well, why am I going to give up my day
I
job? Like, why am
know.
I not?
If you like it and it's comfortable and it's lucrative, yeah, that's hard.
You know?
That's hard.
It would have been easier for me to make the transition when I was unhappy in my clinical
Right.
life. Like,
Right.
but then I found
You went and figured out a way.
I figured out a way because look, because I have a high school senior who's about to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we still have
Yeah.
college tuition, room and
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
travel and all that to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and it's not even about that. Like I genuinely like what I do. I
Yeah.
genuinely love being a physician.
We got to figure out a way to do both.
Story of my life.
I
Story of my life. Figuring out a way to do
yeah.
both. Melding my profession with my passion.
Well, you could because that's what I did. I figured it out.
Right.
I'm into nutrition, I'm into cooking, and I'm into travel, and I like podcasting. So I figured out a way. It took years, but
Right.
I figured out a way to do all of it. And you could do something very similar you have your job, but it's full time, right?
Full time. But I
Mm,
work from home.
okay. That helps, I guess. Um, but what if you did you create your recipes and you train someone and they can run your bake shop. I mean, you could do that.
I'm gonna clutch my
It's all
pearls
in
again.
the training.
I'm
I
gonna
had to do
clutch my pearls again. First of all, you're assuming that I want to give anybody these
well,
recipes.
I mean, if you want the joy of them to be shared. I mean, otherwise it's just a
Look,
piece of paper,
but part of
right?
the joy comes from me actually preparing them myself. But maybe I could teach somebody to do it.
You
Look,
definitely could. I mean, you definitely could. I'm not going to say sell the recipes, but you could I don't know. We got to talk about that. We got to
we
think
can talk
about
about
that.
this is like a fix my life show.
Yeah, I mean,
This is a
cuz
whole other show. Fix my life. Help me figure it out.
yeah, you
Help me figure
definitely
it out.
want to you want to do something with that though.
Yeah.
Even if it's a cookbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take another moment for our next sponsor, and our sponsor is Well Diva.
Love it.
So, Well Diva Lifestyle and Travel, I take women all over the world, as you may have heard a little earlier. Um, there's two things that are my goal with Well Diva Lifestyle, and one is to help ladies check off their bucket list trips. Sometimes ladies are, maybe you don't have a travel companion. Um, maybe you like traveling in a group. So I provide the perfect travel group if you want to see the world. That's the first goal. And the other goal is for you to level up, to treat yourself to something luxurious. If you already do that, to do it more often. So welldiva.com is where you'll go to find out about some of our amazing upcoming travel experiences. All right.
Look, wait, where's my phone? I'm about to get on the website right now. Okay.
Welldiva.com.
That was me. That was the description
Yes.
of me. And see, that's the other thing. How do I have time to be doing all this other stuff when I want to travel and everything? My
When,
problem is I want to do everything. That's my
yeah,
problem.
that's what it is because the job, since it's full time, well, I'm back on this now, okay? Because I'm thinking
She
this
is
through.
really.
I'm for real because I am like all about getting away from a job.
I know, right,
I just feel like you should have time freedom.
right.
When you say, "Well, when am I going to have time?" Your book, your cookbook is the income that you need for your son's tuition and for you to take a vacation whenever you want to take a vacation.
Right.
And you like the job, But do you love the job? And if you loved it, all this other stuff would probably fade away.
That's true. That's true.
So you're sitting in a position that someone who will love that job is supposed to be in, when you're supposed to be moving on to the thing that you truly love. Right?
Right.
But you're allowing comfort and fear to keep you where you are.
Why are you reading me this morning?
Well, I mean, that's what I do.
Look.
Yeah, so what we could do, of course, not today, but we could do a hypnosis session to clear up that fear. Yeah, because we want to see what's causing, in hypnosis, we'll go to the root of what's causing the fear and help you to step over that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through that. What is that like?
It's basically a level of relaxation. Because we as Black folk tend to think hypnosis is of the devil. It is not.
No.
It's not. And sadly, movies, and I'm not going to say which one, but y'all know which one in particular, movies have given hypnosis a really...
It just occurred to me what movie you were talking about.
Yeah, movies have given hypnosis a really, really bad rap. But I went last year to London and spent a week studying hypnosis. And before I went, I was like, no, I'm not into that devil stuff. But I educated myself and I took the trip, and I underwent hypnosis several times during that week. Honey, I went in there with all kind of digestive issues. And when I went through hypnosis and went back and found out what was causing it, it all cleared up just like that.
Stop it.
Yes.
Because I have horrible insomnia. Like I have debilitating insomnia that I've had for years, decades.
Wow.
So do you think hypnosis
we could definitely try it?
I would be willing to try it.
Yeah. It's certainly painless. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would be willing to try it because I know for a fact that there is something, ruminating under the surface that I definitely need to unlock.
So what do? Do you get up or do you just lay there through the insomnia?
It depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lay there through the insomnia. Sometimes I try to do breathing exercises. Sometimes I medicate. I mean, and I don't want to.
Right.
But
of course.
I mean, it's like I have to figure it out.
Wow.
Sometimes I read, I have to get better about journaling. I was journaling sometimes, and I found that to be helpful only because on the back end, when I went back to read it, like some of the things that were going on in my mind and some of the things that I was thinking about, were now on paper. And so then I could go back and unpack that and what that means. So yeah.
Have you ever done a detox?
So I haven't. And the reason I haven't is because, speaking of digestive issues, because I have colitis, I have inflammatory bowel disease. And so my GI has kind of, warned me against doing that. And maybe it depends, because he was really talking about more like colonics and things of that nature, just because of the friability of my intestine. He didn't want me to, but if you have something else.
Yeah, no, I mean like you could do like a juice cleanse.
Oh yeah, I've done those.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
If you've done one that focuses on cleansing the liver, because a lot of times the waking up at night is the liver saying it, the liver is trying to work to cleanse itself. And when you detox, you support that
yes,
process.
I have.
Okay.
I have. And I've done it primarily through juicing. And raw and eating raw. Okay.
And then how long is the process?
I've done, I did one that was 21 days.
Okay. Yeah.
I've done a 7-day, a 21-day.
Did you see a difference with your sleeping at that time? Do you remember?
Did I see a difference in the sleeping? Ooh.
You didn't notice? Did you journal at that time so that you, when I do a detox, and I sometimes I I don't want to say host. I can't think of what the word is.
Mm.
But when I take a group through a detox, I have them journal so that they can see what it's doing for them.
Yeah.
Did you?
The short one, the 7-day one, I did, and I would have to go back and like go back and read what was happening then. I did during that time.
You did journal, but you don't remember if it affected your sleep.
I don't remember if it affected my sleep,
Hmm.
which is a byproduct of insomnia. My memory is garbage.
Well,
That
that
and
also.
menopause.
For me, it was gluten was
Mm.
affecting my memory.
Mm.
Yeah, it was bad. It was awful.
Really?
Like not only my memory, but my ability to speak.
Really?
I was having trouble just flowing in conversation. I was getting quiet because I couldn't get the words together fast enough.
Interesting.
And I stopped eating gluten for 3 weeks. And I didn't realize that it was related until I started eating gluten again. And then I
all those
noticed it
symptoms.
started out with indigestion and heartburn and then the memory. So I kind of went back and forth for like a year. And finally, I just stopped eating it altogether because I was like, this is affecting my brain.
Right.
And I stopped eating it for probably 8 years or more. And then I did the hypnosis, and now it doesn't bother me. I can eat gluten and I don't get that mucus and that heartburn. I don't get all that. I don't eat it that much just because, I'm not trying to pick up pounds,
Right.
but when I do eat it, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Interesting.
That hypnosis is something else, I'm telling you.
Listen, I'm in. I mean,
okay.
if it, what's the worst that can happen?
Nothing.
Honestly,
Nothing.
Nothing. Look,
and that's the thing. It's just really a state of relaxation.
Right.
And then we can tap into your subconscious and go into memories that, normally you wouldn't be able to retrieve those memories. And the memories are going to help you understand what's going on here today. Oh, this is why. Ooh. It's so interesting.
Look, I'm like, do I want to retrieve some of those memories?
You do, because in the end, you want healing.
Well, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
Was there anything else you want to share with us or ask me or?
Yeah, so I do. So in terms of getting back to the whole podcast piece. So how long have you been in the podcast space now? Did you start
since I met you?
Really?
Listen, we met at Podcast Summit, and I met our filming crew at Podcast Summit. Oh, I met you. I met the guests that I've had. I've already known them. One of our guests, she was at Podcast Summit, but she's my stylist.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah,
wow.
This all just started a few weeks ago.
I love it.
So let me be the example to show you what you need to do.
It looks like you've been doing this forever.
Do this, ma'am. Do it.
I know.
Do it. Right. No, I've been doing this for like 15 minutes. Do this.
I know, but it looks like you've been doing it for
Well, thank you.
A long time.
I just thought, the way my living room is set up, let's just do this at home.
No, I love it.
Let's chill.
It's perfect.
Thank you.
Because now I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I could do it at my place.
You can do it.
I could do it at my place. I could style my place.
Yes, ma'am.
Instead of, going to a podcast studio.
If that's one of the things that's stopping you, do it at home. Yeah, but take that list of things that's stopping you and start going through that and figuring out how to check that list off and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because we want to hear, is it profession to passion? We want to hear it. We need it. Somebody needs it.
Somebody needs it. And that's the thing. Like
that's what you got to focus on, not your comfort zone.
Right.
Focus on the fact that somebody's waiting for that and you're holding them up.
True.
Okay.
True. She all in my get out of my brain. All up in my Kool-Aid.
That's my job.
All up in my Kool-Aid.
Okay. Well, it has been a pleasure. Tracy Nailor.
Thank you so much.
And we're looking forward to your podcast.
Thank you so much.
Right.
I appreciate it. Okay. And in the meantime, look for my walking wisdom on IG at Dr. Chef 1.
Dr. Chef 1.
DRCHEF, the number 1. Look, like and follow.
Like and follow on Instagram, Dr. Chef One.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for another fabulous episode of Unapologetically Fly. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Unapologetically Fly. I hope you found something in this episode that inspires you to finally live for yourself. We all know someone afraid to live their dream and chronically complaining about some part of their life. Be a blessing and send this to that person. And make sure you write a review wherever you're tuned in and subscribe so we can make the world a better place, one fly auntie at a time. See you on the next episode.